What is going on, guys? Welcome to another Years in the Future video in Football Manager 2018. If you enjoy these, make sure you leave a thumbs up. Let's try and hit 100 likes on this video if you would like to see more of these. And if you're new to the channel, of course, make sure you subscribe for regular Football Manager content like this. So here we are in 2218, and yeah, if you missed that last one, 50 years in the future, make sure you watch it before this one, because it kind of builds the story, I suppose, of how the save is progressing. But yeah, now 200 years into the future, 2218. Just to be this far is pretty crazy, and you can see, well, past winners. Take a look at that run by QPR. There was a few, like when I was simulated up to 100, obviously I didn't do a video for 100, but I was noticing teams. There's a bit on Fulham, but more recently, want to see the success of QPR. And obviously, we're going to still focus a lot on the Premier League and the English leagues, but I do have others loaded, and we'll check a bit about them, but yeah, in not much detail, so keep that in mind, as yeah, there's more shocks, I guess you can say, always in England in all the divisions. But yeah, QPR, let's check out their record here. If we go to their competitions, you can see everything they won, but if we just go to the overview there, you can see they've won 3 Champions Leagues. That is not a bad effort by them, but that regular Premier League success, take a look at that. Like, really? Is this how it is going to be 200 years from now? QPR is going to be dominating. Okay, from that season, from 22-11, that season, they're going to be destined to continue that form. Like, how is that? You're probably wondering, okay, but what's their team looking like? And look at the Champions League success. Then, at least in this period, I guess you can say they've got 2 wins, and they had one in 2083. So yeah, a long time. They must have had some, yeah, I want to see their overview. I want to see their history, and they had a previous dominance where they got around the Premier League. They're definitely a yo-yo team, and I wonder if they'll turn back into that. But then they had success around this period a little bit. You can see the win in the Premier League. So that's pretty good by QPR. So yeah, they're interesting. I don't want to spend too much time on each team, but yeah, if you take a look at their current crop in their squad, their current squad, just take a look at their values, maybe see their best player, and he is English as well. Michael Mabila, maybe one of the names I got right. I remember the last video I did, there was another Congolese lad that was English as well. He's born in Congo, so obviously they have that recruitment in place, and it's proving well for them, I guess. I'll just call him Michael. I think that's a bit simple, yeah, and a bit easier. So he looks like a pretty good player. His finishing's not amazing, but as a midfielder, but he can play attacking midfield as well, so yeah, keep that in mind. He's still a great player. To the next team that has had some dominance. Again, I mentioned on Twitter about Fulham as I was progressing. Make sure you follow me on Twitter as well. I'll be definitely posting images and screenshots as I progress that you may not see as much that I do in the video. But anyway, like, I'm going to show you the overview of their 14 Champions League wins. Take a look at the dates. So, all in this save, and 34 Premier League titles for Fulham. Really, would you imagine that? Yeah, take a look at all the dates there. So, as shocking as QPR was, Fulham even more so. They created so much success in this save we have here. If we go down, they've still been able to. They've survived in the Premier League this long. As soon as they actually got a. I wonder if that was before their dominance, though. Before if you see, they didn't really have wins. They didn't have Premier League wins. I think highest may have been they finished 7th or 6th. Yeah, 6th. They're a couple of their best. Yeah, a couple of their best finishers. Actually, interestingly, the year before they got relegated, they came 6th in the Premier League, then 18th. They must have just had a really, really bad season, because they got back to the Premier League, and then, well, maybe about 5 or 6 seasons, then they consolidated, and then they went to the next level. They were finishing top 6, but then look at all these league wins in a row, just pure dominance right there, and they haven't fell off. They've kind of sustained that most of the years, finishing in the top 4. So playing a lot of European football during this big period. You see their Champions League wins, and Their estimated value is 2 billion. I didn't look into it too deep, and it was hard to, as I was just focused on simulating, going on holiday this whole time. But with stopping maybe every like 30 years to checking how things are looking. But yeah, I'm not sure if they had an investor or something because they suddenly got rich and that they bought some players, and it's like that sustained their dominance. As you can see, their season budget is regularly close to 100 million. But you would see there has been more of a shock, as you would expect. Maybe more than you would expect, though, how many more different teams are in the Premier League 200 years later compared to 50. And Scunthorpe, obviously, they were kind of the shock team. I think they were the only one, weren't they? Because yeah, I used them as a focus. I showed in the thumbnail as well that they were able to win the league. So let's just see their overview. They won 3 Champions League, 4 Premier League. So it's understandable they haven't had the same dominance as Fulham and QPR. But hey, 1.2 billion, not too bad. But then let's just go through as well. There's Millwall. Again, just want to see, won't focus on them too much as they wouldn't have had as much success. But they've kind of sustained in the Premier League. As you can see, a bit of yo-yo around there. A lot of yo-yoing, actually. But now they're kind of settled as a Premier League team. Well, yeah, the previous finish, yeah, they said 15th. And there's yo-yoing within the division, the same division within the Premier League. Sometimes a bad finish, lower mid-table, and then pushing towards Europe. Millwall and like Scunthorpe, what they're doing. Sheffield United is there as well. You got Sheffield Wednesday, Sunderland back in the Premier League. Cardiff, there's like Barnsley, Barnet as well. I think they would have been the lowest one. Yeah, with them starting in League 2, just see their progression. They actually progressed pretty well, especially after their relegation to the National League. They got their promotion back, consolidated, then finished top. Then same in League 1. That's a pretty decent effort, 10th in their first season, and then into the Championship they got, relegated. So then they kind of went back to the rebuilding stage, and then they spent a lot of seasons in the Championship. It took them a really long time, which the case can be for a team with not a lot of money compared to the rest. And they got into the Premier League, and how's their consolidation? Yeah, definitely. They got promoted and didn't get relegated again when they got promoted for the 21-92 season, and they've stayed in the Premier League. That's who they've had a second. That's mean they've made it to the Champions League. So that's a good effort for them, and they had 2 Champions League wins, 22-03 and 22-06. So that's good for Barnet. I think they'll be happy with that. How about that? Barnet winning the Champions League. A couple teams that aren't in the Premier League anymore. So let's take a look at them. So you can see the final, Swansea beating Tottenham in the player final. So that's very good for them. There's West Ham also. They got promoted. But anyway, we'll go to stages. We'll go to league table. And you can see Liverpool, they were in the Championship. They got relegated from the Premier League. And they've had an interesting kind of run. If you take a look at that, the yo-yoing compared to Liverpool's stat, especially look at this period here. Look how long they spent in the Championship. I want to see if they've had any other periods. That was their first relegation, or no, it was a bit earlier. When was their earliest relegation? Yeah, I think that would have been it. So, Liverpool fans, obviously this is not real, of course, but yay, 2081-82 season, that was their relegation. So, in terms of, it's still far away, but compared to the other Premier League teams, they haven't faced this kind of stuff in terms of getting relegated to the Championship. So, Liverpool fans, future, it's still quite a few years away, but it could be on the horizon. But just to put it in comparison, all those teams that I showed you that got promoted and won Champions Leagues, Barnet have won 2 in that period. Liverpool have won none. How about Premier League success? They had no success. No title. Did they win FA Cup at least? Okay, so they're at least established as a cup team. The stats are there. Carabao Cup as well. They've got their wins. So at least Liverpool has that. And wow, isn't that shocking though? They've had no success in this save at all. And like I said, teams like Barnet have won the Champions League twice. Wow. So technically you'd say Barnet doing better than Liverpool. And obviously other notable teams there, Southampton, Tottenham as well, I kind of want to see how they have been. If we check out their history here, in a lot of the recent seasons, they've been in the Championship. So I wonder how long... Yeah, then you see the more times they've been in the Premier League, like it didn't start until then. So they've kind of lost their Premier League status, you would say. Like, what's their value now? It's still 83 million. They still should be having... Okay, maybe not the best season budget. So will be interesting to see how they get out of this slump of just staying in the Championship. And then there's Boston United in the Championship. They finished 14th. They haven't made it to the Premier League just yet, and I think in terms of the non-league sides, they're gotten to the highest. I haven't checked some that may have got promoted but then gone back down. Maybe not. Might have to go more in depth with it, but I think, yeah, they're the one, at least, that have stayed consistent and gone from, yeah, the non-leagues and consolidated as a Championship club, which is, yeah, not bad at all. And now going on to League One. Oh, FC United, they just survived there, but you can see their history. They're going up at least. But in terms of the big clubs, yeah, no one has dropped any further. Though, Wolves are sitting in League 2 at the moment. I want to see, did they drop any further? Or have they just, yeah, they've just settled there. They didn't, yeah, get relegated to non-leagues or anything like that. So, but they got to be careful. They got to be careful, that is for sure. Like the previous season, they finished... lucky they did improve. They were very close to getting relegated to the conference. But now, past winners of the World Cup. You got England winning twice there. Imagine 3 times in a row. That would have been a big feat, especially for England. And checking out any others, is there any other shocks? You see England coming in 3rd place quite a few times and runners-up. So they're making finals, yeah, which is a good thing. But who's been... There's Colombia. Colombia winning the World Cup in 2202. Israel winning in 2182. And then Ukraine. So there is some shocks. Chile's always had some decent players, but yeah, they did well to win there. But in terms of that, I think they're really the biggest shocks. But let's check out the Champions League now, and keep in mind for the last few seasons, it would have had activated the other leagues. Obviously, I don't have them loaded normally, and I'll remove them after this when I simulate more, because the simulating, when you go on holiday, it just takes too long. So we're just going to go to the past winners still. But I just want to explain that. You can see PSG, they had a lot of wins. But QPR, they won the last Champions League final. So, yeah, that is pretty crazy. But obviously, Lyon, and that one's to be played, Lyon and Bayern. But, yeah, how about that? Just to say QPR, and within recent seasons. So that's just crazy to say. And the same with Barnet. Barnet and QPR winning, even Barnet, even more shocking than QPR, to be fair, but still, it's not something expected. Or Leeds had dominance as well. They must have fell back. Yeah, well, they're 18th in the Premier League. That was their finish. So, not the greatest, but they did have a good period. They had a good period, but fell back a bit. You see they got relegated, but then, to be fair, got back into the Premier League. But again, if we just overview their success, they've got 9 Champions League wins. So again, comparing that to Liverpool, Leeds 9 Champions League wins in the save, and Liverpool nothing. And same with Premier League wins. Take away the first 3 there, and then they've won that many. And Liverpool have had 0. It's crazy. Liverpool have had no success in this save in terms of major titles, Premier League or Champions League. None in 200 years. But also, guys, like I said, I did add the different leagues. So check out France first. But of course, through all the time, I didn't have them loaded. They're kind of randomized, but to a certain degree. If you just see, like, PSG wins a lot. See, at this point, that's when I had them loaded from that season there. So you would see the same teams kind of placing the same positions, but that seems the same when I've had them loaded anyway. But if you take a look, like PSG was winning so many leagues in a row, I think that is because it was like either like PSG, Monaco, or Lyon. But as I said, that seems to be the same from when I had the leagues loaded anyway. So what I mean is there's no real major shocks, but I'll show you the league table. But there's not too many different changes. And then if we go to the Bundesliga, let's just take a look. But it will be, yeah, it will be a similar situation. I'll just show you the league table. Leverkusen. I think any time Bayern doesn't win a league, it is pretty shocking. But again, I'll show you the past winners just as a fact for that. But as you can see already, you can see Bayern would win almost every single time. It's like Bayern or Dortmund or Leverkusen. But Leverkusen, they actually did come up with a surprising one. But yeah, it's like randomized between a few teams. Like you wouldn't see Wolfsburg like getting a place. Like they came running up. Leipzig as well. And then Schalke's, so you're seeing some changes when the leagues actually have been loaded. So hopefully that makes sense. So it would always be, okay, there's a few changes. Because, yeah, someone told me that once. Yeah, when you don't have the leagues loaded, it's kind of, there's just a handful of teams that normally dominate. Will be like winning the league all the time, coming first, coming second, coming third, that kind of stuff. So we'll check that for Italy. We'll check out the Serie A. And that's the current league table for this season. But again, we'll take a look at the winners. Juve, they actually dominated for a really long time during this period. Because, guys, of course, if I don't have the leagues loaded for them, like a lot of players are not in the game, of course. But at this point, it's like regions. At this point, it's like regions of the teams. So they'll be generated players after that. And then to check out the La Liga, and no surprises, Barca and Real Madrid, and that would have been a case for a lot of time. But Sevilla, okay, see, even before I had the leagues loaded, Sevilla was actually winning some. So that's pretty interesting. But yeah, guys, I still see the stuff in the Premier League more interesting in terms of the shocks. Because obviously, I have more knowledge of teams in the lower leagues compared to the lower league teams from the other countries. So it's good to compare and you see the shocks. So yeah, it's better for the video. So I will take away those leagues so I can simulate quickly again to get through more seasons. I'm thinking, yeah, like I said, I'll do 500 years, but I really wanted to do this one 200 years in the future because there was multiple English teams that had just really interesting situations, whether it be their success or their failures, like Liverpool. Is anyone else shocked? Let me know a comment. Just let me know, are you shocked that Liverpool haven't won a major title? They haven't won a Premier League title, or they haven't won Champions League in this whole save, 200 years worth? Let me know, lads, man. That's, as you can tell, I'm surprised by that still. So let me know. And then the success of teams like Fulham and QPR. Yeah, just let me know your feedback, and I would really appreciate if you do leave a thumbs up on the video. It does really help me out and lets me know you want to see more content like this. Make sure you subscribe if you're new as well. Turn on the notification bell so you make sure you see my videos and you don't miss them. I'll see you guys next time.